Send us a note next time, would you?
Okay. Or
Okay,
I could simply remove my tie.
there you go. So this film for this meeting was Harriet. It's a 2019 American biographical film directed by Kasi Lemmons. It received, I'm just reading from Wikipedia. The film received several accolades and nominations, particularly for Elvira's performance. It's got her Academy Award, Golden Globes, Screen Actor Guild. She won for the song Stand Up. So she did real well. I guess everybody knew she was also the star in Wicked, right?
Yeah, she likes big hats.
Yeah. I saw when she was sitting there standing next to what's her name, Janelle Monáe. I was thinking, wow, that's quite a bit of talent right there. But anyway, let's see. It's in 1949 Maryland. Minty Ross is newly married, and Minty's is ready to run to get out of slavery. And this is her story. Cast, pretty good cast, I guess. Janelle Monáe and I don't know that Leslie Odom. I mean, I think I remember him in a few movies. I guess for the most part, I didn't know who most of the actors were. When I first saw it, Janelle Monáe is the only one I knew.
I just knew Taylor Swift's old boyfriend.
Who's that?
Oh, the son of the plantation owner.
Oh yeah. What's
Joe
his,
Alwyn.
Really?
what-
Yeah.
what's his name, Mike? Do you know? He was
Joe Alwyn or
Joe Alwyn. Anyway, I don't know. Let's see. How did it do in the box office and all that? It grossed 43 million. Worldwide 44 million. And a production budget of 17 million. So I guess it wasn't too terrifically successful that way. But I just read that book recently. I think I told you guys about it. Husband, wife, man, or slave, master, husband, wife, master, slave, about the couple that ran from I think it was it Charlottesville, South Carolina, and had kind of a similar route to freedom, dealt with some of the same freedom, same people, and it just was it just ever since then I've been kind of 1850s America just like fascinates me really, to think of waking up one day and being in the middle of 1850s America. It's like no other time I could imagine. This film, I saw it when it came out, I think, and I liked it, but I wanted to review it again and take a look at it again. And I don't know. I mean, I really feel like Harriet Tubman is like, gosh, she's a great American hero, really. I can't imagine anybody, man or woman, that more courageous than that woman was. I thought it was pretty well done. I read a little bit today. Some of the people were composites. The guy Gideon that we were just talking about, he was a composite. His father was a real person, but the son, he wasn't. And I think they said the Janelle Monáe, her character was also a composite. She wasn't, it's just, there were those kind of people along the way, things like that. But the thing I find fascinating about this time period is the Fugitive Slave Act. I think I didn't really know too much about it. until I started reading the book. I just didn't think about it. I mean, I probably knew about it, heard about it, but it's just like, it's just amazing, you know, how much it was tearing America up to have, you know, they could escape to Philadelphia, but they weren't free because there were laws in place for bounty hunters to come and collect them, take them home, put them back in slavery. And so America was just getting more and more tore up as we got closer and closer to Civil War. And here was a woman brave enough to try to battle that. But anyway, I liked it for those reasons. And I didn't think it was a great movie, but I did like those aspects of it, that it told a story about our past and about a pretty important person. Anyway, so I'll put that out there as a start for a discussion.
Does anyone know if she really had that ability of premonition where she could see what was going to happen, or was that made up for the movie?
Well, she did get struck on her head badly when she was a young girl, and it did give her difficulty the rest of her life. And you know, whether or not, you know, it gave her visions or gave her some sort of providential guidance, I can't speak to that. But yeah, she did get struck by her owner, who was trying to punish another slave, and inadvertently struck her, and she did have problems from the blow to the head the rest of her life. But
It happened when she was a child, and it is part of her history.
Yeah.
That she had these visions, whether like in the movie, she had them and they told her to turn left instead of turning right. I don't know about that. But
Yeah, I read that sometime later in her life, she finally had a brain surgery that gave her some relief from the discomfort associated with that. But like you guys, I didn't read anything that suggested it was necessarily providential, as it was. Maybe that might have been a little bit of Hollywood license.
mhm. I think you're right, Bill. I think this wrapped up in the Dred Scott case was to me, the most interesting kind of backstory about what's going on. The movie's a 5 or 6, but it's a story that needs to be told, and it's not been a popular subject, and neither has Dred Scott for the movie world. I mean, this should have had like Ken Burns written all over it, but instead we got some kind of slapdash, but it tells her story, so it was okay.
Well, the law was that if you were a slave and you made it to free soil and you sued for your freedom, you could sue for your freedom if you were on free soil, which is why St. Louis had so much of that happening. And even though Missouri was probably more southern leaning than the Union, it never left the Union. So those slaves made it from Illinois over to, and they sued in the St. Louis Circuit Court. There were about 150 slave lawsuits, Dred Scott being the most famous. Of course, his failed when it was appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. So I suppose in Philadelphia, if you got to Philadelphia, that would have been free soil. You could have brought suit, but until you won the lawsuit, you were still a slave, as you just said.
That's funny that, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was this Roger Taney, who our lovely Taney County is named for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think by most current historical standards, he was a pretty big embarrassment. Maybe mostly because of the Dred Scott case, but maybe some other things too.
Well, the 1850s, in a lot of respects, are just as interesting as the Civil War, because of everything that was taking place. And you can look back now on that entire decade and see the seams of the nation pulling apart. Did anybody draw the comparison to the ICE raids that are underway now with respect to the Fugitive Slave Act? I certainly saw that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, Mike. But
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it's a really good point. And speaking of that, just a moment, I read somewhere, my wife told me, whatever, that an awful lot of these folks that are here illegally, and somebody claims that they're all murderers and rapists. Most of them, if they have a legal problem, it's a traffic traffic stops and that sort of thing.
Yeah, they over here on this side of Missouri, it wasn't just St. Louis, but there was an underground railroad stop over here in the Kansas City area, where slaves from western Missouri, specifically northwestern Missouri, they were ferried across the Missouri River in Parkville, which is about 15, 20 miles north of downtown Kansas City, into what is now known as Kansas City, Kansas. At that time, it was called Quindaro, and there's an effort now, and it's just been underway probably in the last 10 years, to revive what they call the Quindaro ruins, to make it a national historic stop, and build it up, and try to revive the awareness of the Underground Railroad and in the greater Kansas City area. And it's happening in fits and starts. This Quindaro ruin sits up on a really steep bluff overlooking the Missouri River, and to get to it would require these runaway slaves to climb a pretty steep hill to get to the settlement. But that's happening in fits and starts here in the Kansas City area. It's all tied up in some local politics and some disgraced politicians and such. But they're trying to do that here in Kansas City as well.
Is that by that old Baby Doe's place?
No.
That.
No.
Yeah.
You gotta go. You'd be pretty north on 7th Street or something, wouldn't it? Like to get up to Quindaro.
Well, it's more like straight up 18th Street. If you go through the northern section of
That's right.
of KCK, the town basically runs out on these bluffs, and on the at that time it would have been the western wilderness of Wyandotte County, or of the Kansas Territory. Wyandotte County didn't exist yet. So yeah, it was north of 18th Street.
I know you don't want to drive up that way.
Through
Quindaro, you don't want to drive through Quindaro if you don't have to. It's still a dangerous area. I mean,
yeah. When I was a reporter and had to go up there for any reason at all, I tried to do it before. Noon, because from noon on, the people that could or would make trouble for you were up and about. In fact, one of the stories I remember is I covered a fire call up there that ended up not being a fire call, and it ended up being an EMT call, and some of the folks in the neighborhood who were gathered around, it was like this small child, 10-year-old boy that was having some medical difficulties, while the EMTs were in trying to assess the situation of the little kid. I think it was a boy. Somebody stole their ambulance, and the fire department came up 2 or 3 minutes later, after the EMTs realized that their ambulance had been stolen, and basically said, "Look, somebody needs to rat out whoever took this ambulance and get it back here within 5 minutes, or this is going to be the new drill. The ambulance folks aren't coming here until the cops and those of us in the fire department have got the scene secured." And it took about, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds. I was there watching it. The crowd, hubbub, 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 and then they went, "Well, Walter and Luther got it, and they're probably down over here at such and such store." And that's exactly where the ambulance was. But yeah, when the folks went, "Oh, they're not going to come up here anymore," well, then they ratted them out instantaneously. So yeah, you're right, Bill. It's a rough part of town.
It sounds like a better movie than Harriet.
It's funny, somebody just in the town south of us, Everett, which is a pretty big city, somebody stole a whole fire truck here just like last weekend, and just went around and bashed into a bunch of cars, probably 20 cars they smashed into, and then they just ran off. They never caught them.
Well, the
How do you
movie,
leave the keys in a fire truck?
Yeah, I don't know.
maybe they hotwired it. Well, I'm with Mattson. I thought it was, as in terms of a historical movie and, filling in gaps in my personal history of the 1850s, I thought it was well done. There's probably some, Hollywood extras that made the story more compelling. But as a movie, I thought it was a Midland movie, but as a story, it's a powerful story. And I thought the lead actress did a powerful job with that. And I understand why the movie was made. I think it was probably, you said it wasn't successful with a $17 million budget and a $44 million worldwide take. Everybody got paid. So
Yeah.
it's a powerful story told well enough to be meaningful and, like I said, filled in some gaps for me in historical knowledge. So for that, I appreciated it.
Yeah.
If they would have just had a couple of dance scenes, Gary, in there,
Or zombies,
or zombies. Well, a dance scene, musical numbers, and zombies. We could have had it be a comparison to Sinners.
Yeah, those were they weren't zombies, were they? What were they?
Well, vampires.
Vampires. Yes,
Vampires, yeah.
vampires.
Yeah.
But now there was singing.
Yes, there was. There was. And Bill, whenever that started, I thought, oh God, here we go again.
And you thought, were there zombies back then too?
Yeah, who knows?
Or
Yeah.
vampires?
Didn't they only sang at the funeral?
Yeah. Well, she sang that one time when she was trying to get other of the slaves to come out and perhaps be interested.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Mostly it was at church.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I thought it was a good film. I thought the acting in it was quite good. I found myself thinking about from the eyes of the plantation owners. Plantation probably is a little bit of a misnomer. If it was a plantation, it certainly wasn't anything like you would have found in the real South. But I found myself thinking, how in the world can one human being treat another human being that way? And obviously that's a great question, and probably to some degree it still happens even in our country, but certainly around the world. And they would probably defend it by saying, well, it's all they knew.
Well, I was going to say, if that was the way the economy worked and the way to make your farm profitable was to buy slaves, and you invested that money, and then suddenly that investment had run off, and you looked, hey, help me get these back. It'd be like having your car stolen or your horse stolen, except in this case, it's human beings. But if that was the economy of the time, if everybody else is doing it, why wouldn't I?
Yeah, well, and the one line from the when the neighbors of the Brodess family were trying to get the Brodess matriarch and the son to pay for their losses.
Yeah.
They said the farm's only worth $5,000. My slaves were worth $2,000.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, Gary, I think I've told you before. Maybe I mentioned last time. My daughter's a 19th century American history professor, and she taught for 8 years at the University of Mississippi. And she said to me one day, she said, "Dad, what was the richest state in America in the 1860?" And I was trying to think about Massachusetts or Pennsylvania, where there was mining or, that sort of thing. And she said it was Mississippi. And I said, "What?" And she said, "The value of the slaves."
Cotton is king. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Did you happen to catch what the slave population was?
No.
We looked this up recently because there was some question about, was there ever a point where the slave population or the black population of the U.S. came close to outstripping the white population? I don't think it ever got that, but it was a significant portion of the U.S. population.
Oh, yeah.
Probably what, 30–40%? Mahoney, you might know.
Yeah, it was in that range, and I mean, and if you go back all the way back to the Constitution, they had a huge debate about whether or not slaves should be counted as full individuals, because if they did, it would have given the southern colonies, the southern states, an overwhelming edge in population and thereby the electoral college back then. So that's why slaves were designated as only 3/5 of one individual.
That's a curious math problem, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why not half? Why not 65%?
Yeah.
So this took place in Maryland. Do you guys know what they would have been farming? I mean, it looked like just a bunch of dirt that they were raking around.
Those agricultural scenes were the worst I've ever seen. Those guys are just scratching the hay, and I don't know. I don't know that it's tobacco. I would think it's a row crop.
I'll bet you there was some tobacco. I don't think there was any. There was little or any cotton, but I know that Maryland farms have corn, a lot of corn, as a matter of fact. So, and then Baltimore was a major trade center, major port at that time,
and a hotbed for the Confederacy.
Yep. The Union probably had more trouble holding on to the state of Maryland than they did any of the other border states.
Well, and you remember that Lincoln had to put on a disguise as he came for his inauguration through Baltimore. There was quite a plan to assassinate him there, and
so if she had been in South Carolina or Georgia, you think she would have been able to make the trip? That would have been a lot farther.
I don't.
What was the question?
Well, I was just saying if she was in another state further away, it would have been way more difficult than.
I think, exactly. I think she wouldn't. I mean, that's why she ran, because they were going to send her
miles
farther
to
south.
Philadelphia is not like 100 miles from Macon, Georgia.
Yeah.
I was picking up on that, and I was, I think I told you guys I made that trip to the Whitman plantation down there near New Orleans. And I bet those slaves never escaped.
Well, and the traffic on I-95 is so bad. I mean, it's just impossible.
Especially on game days.
That's true.
That's true.
I think if I remember right, the Underground Railroad existed in the border states, and so there was some of it in Virginia. There was some of it in Missouri. I think probably Kentucky as well.
In that book, husband, wife, master, slave. It was kind of a story of a black woman and her husband. She dressed up as a white man. She was a very light complected black woman. She dressed up as a white man, and he was her slave. And they escaped from Charlotte, I think, and they started going north. They made it to Philadelphia. They were being sought after by the Fugitive Slave Act. There were bounty hunters looking for them. They moved to Boston. Bounty hunters were still looking for them. Finally, they escaped to England, where they found some peace until the Civil War was over, and I think they came back. But yeah, I mean, I think the farther south you were, if you were a slave, way worse, you know.
Did you say Charlotte as in North Carolina or Charlottesville as in Virginia?
I think it was I think it was in Virginia.
Yeah, from Charlotte, North Carolina, up to the Free States would have been quite a haul.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took a boat. They did a couple things, you know. They first got out on a boat. She was all dressed up like a man in a suit and everything, and every time they would come up to question her or anything like that, she would pretend to be sick, you know. She'd like, ugh, you know, and she'd like retire to her quarters, and her husband was like, oh, she can't talk right now, you know, she's like deathly sick. And but they made it through the gauntlet, you know, that way. And their escape was different. Thing about Harriet, you know, all those people, they had a different route of escaping and all that. They never found any peace, and I think that that couple, they rejected the idea of going to Canada. Even I think the reach was still up there as far as Canada and all that. They went to England.
Think about the ability to travel, even though it wasn't hundreds and hundreds of miles. What they say, about 100 miles. But to do that based on, you know, several days later, the Delaware River will be on your right. And you know, it's just pretty amazing. And maybe there were paths or trails or something that they were able to follow. But hell, I'd get lost in my backyard if I didn't have streetlights.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, John, is they were trying to travel mostly at night. So
yeah,
even if they were having trails, you know, on a dark, moonless night, I don't know how you see.
Yeah.
Dr. Jeff, you've been quiet.
Well, there was that whole scene where she was doing that. I enjoyed the movie. It kept my interest through the whole thing, and like some others, there was a lot of stuff and
Cutting out.
Oh yeah, I guess it is.
Can you hear me?
Barely.
Enjoyed the movie, and I've learned from it. Had an arc as it.
Oh, geez.
And what was the arc?
Development as
Harriet?
an underground railroad. Yeah, Harriet's arc as a.
Was Harriet different at the beginning than she was at the end?
She wasn't as brave. She got braver and braver as time went by, and she realized I guess.
Your batteries need to be charged.
Sometimes when you wear earpieces, the earpieces don't translate. And I've found that sometimes when I take my earpieces out and just talk to my laptop, it works better, Jeff. I don't know.
I'll give it a try.
Much better.
Much better.
That seemed better. So you were saying about the ark?
You're also on mute. I don't know if that,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you are.
So one thing we were talking about was that there weren't a lot of
Is that better?
there. Yeah,
Hello?
Just
yeah,
Hello?
yeah.
Yeah,
hello.
we
Can
can
I-
hear you.
Can you hear us?
Yellow.
There weren't a lot of movies about Harriet Tubman. Why do you think it took Hollywood so long to come up with a film about the Harriet Tubman story?
Don't want to talk about uncomfortable subjects.
Probably didn't think it would make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when Jeff brought up the arc, I thought about myself. Are there characters in this movie that went from one place to another, and to me, the only arc is that she was a victim at the beginning, and at the end, she was empowered to not be a victim. So she grew into that role and became a heroine for all these people around her. But it wasn't like she was a shy, quiet person in the beginning. But she certainly grew into that and became even bigger. But for the most part, everybody who was in that movie, whether they were a slave owner or a slave, or they were consistent in their character all the way through, which made it a good, piece of education. It didn't necessarily make it a dramatic character study, but she as a character, and how she used what personal strength she had was on display, and that was compelling.
I think that's an interesting question about why this hasn't been made into better or more movies. It's a great story. And I would assume there's a large white audience out there for it.
I think
I don't know.
our national superpower is course correction. Our ability to take things that we look back on and go, well, we did that poorly, but we corrected, and we put people in and treated them poorly, or put them in bad situations, or put them in circumstances where they couldn't be themselves, but we corrected. As long as we're still correcting, I think that's still our superpower. There are some people who want to deny that we ever made mistakes. I think we have to admit there were mistakes made, and people that were undervalued and underappreciated and underrepresented. But as long as we can keep course correcting, and I think this is a movie that shows, either by somebody from being oppressed to forcing us to face that, the course correction is our superpower.
Except when we forget, Gary.
Well, yes. Some people don't like the idea that we
Who
need
ever
to
forget
course correct.
Gary?
Excuse me?
How could we ever forget Gary?
Yeah, that wasn't what I meant, Bill.
Comma,
But-
Gary.
But I was thinking, when we talked about the ark, Wicker, you need to invite all of us to offer eulogies at your funeral so that we can speak of the ark of your life.
That implies that we're going to outlive it.
Does indeed, yeah, which may or may not be true.
Jeff
Yeah, I
Arthur,
don't
take
know.
notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you may be the last survivor, Jeff. You got to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Keep records of things, so we can avoid the later mistakes that have already been made. And that's something out in medicine, in a lot of ways. The way that the business of medicine is handled right now is there's very little institutional memory about what we've done in the past for our hospitals and how we took care of people. I'm off on a tangent here, but it's sort of in the keep track of what you did in the past that worked well and keep doing that.
Jeff, you always have great insight, but we're only picking up about 3/5 of what you say.
As long as it's the right 3/5.
I don't know.
This reference document I have here, it says the character of Thomas Garrett, the Quaker station master, helped 2,500 to 3,000 escaped slaves is real.
Really, the gentleman who had the wagon.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be darned.
that character was real. It said, also said she went, Harriet made 19 trips, said, she made 19 trips back and forth, and she saved somewhere between 70 and 300 slaves. But that's quite a gap, really. Somewhere between 70 and 300.
Well,
Yes,
I'm sure the record keeping wasn't too accurate at the time.
Well, it appeared in Philadelphia. It was very accurate. I mean, the guy kept a diary of everybody who came and where they were from and who their family was.
Which you wonder, Mike, if that all has survived and how much of a source document was that for this, for this film.
Yeah, I don't know.
I bet it's in here somewhere. Does anybody remember his name?
I do.
Okay. I did hear him saying that that name change deal where he asked her what name she wanted to go under, and
Yeah.
that it was kind of like that was true also. And this guy, he kind of started that, and it carried on for decades. Like they even made the analogy that the name for Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali was a part of this tradition, of establishing names that were different than their slave names.
William Still.
William Still.
Aiding and assisting at least 649 slaves to freedom.
Yeah.
Does it mention his
this
book,
doesn't say
whatever you're looking at? I'm wondering if that was destroyed in some.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see if a movie made about him, similar to Schindler's List, would have more box office appeal than a movie about Harriet Tubman.
Maybe.
Still?
His writings were included in the Underground Railroad Records. Is a book by William Still. So
maybe we should become producers.
I only need 17 million.
No, I mean, in grade school or whenever it was, I learned about Harriet Tubman, but I'd never heard of William Still.
Right.
Had you ever heard of Schindler?
Well, that's true.
And there was
when we get
done. There was another movie that Spielberg made about a slave or somebody who came ashore. What I don't remember the name of it.
7 years a slave or
12 years a slave?
12
No.
years? Was it that many?
That was Brad Pitt produced. No, it starts with an A, and I want to say Amadeus, and I know that's not right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, but you're not far off.
But it was Spielberg and those guys try to take somebody who's not the historical main player and pull them out off the sidelines and then project a story about them. And being William Still, who could be perceived as a white hero in all this time, might have a lot more box office appeal, similar to Schindler's List. I don't have 17 million. I'm not going to go ask for it, but
You're trying to ask for 5 million, right?
yeah, just 5.
Well, that'd be split 7 ways here.
Yeah, we can do that.
Do we all get to be executive producers?
Yeah, you all get a credit. But it'd be curious to see what his story's like and what his book is like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was, I mean, just reading wiki about him here, he was obviously very impressive. He had 4 children that survived infancy, and they're pretty significant people all by themselves. And so,
Yeah, that was just to help assuage our white guilt,
Yeah.
It's a movie about him.
Well, I don't remember exactly what it said, but I know that Harriet, she played a pretty significant role during the Civil War too.
she was a Union scout, and
Why?
Why?
yeah,
Because of her
Yeah,
19
it's fine,
trips back
right.
and forth.
yeah.
Yeah.
It would be
You know,
91.
one of the credits at the end was she was the first woman who had ever led a raid, or one of the first, whatever it was.
And that got no visual in the movie.
Mhm.
So
We all
there's a
come down to
sequel.
this last 5 minutes of postscripts. Well, hell, there's a movie. There's a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a sequel here. If she had just been a DC Comics character, we could.
I'm telling you, if we'd have just had a movie, musical in the middle of this thing and some vampires.
Harriet Tubman with CG.
Wicked 2.
I still think Sinners could very well win the Academy Award for Best Picture.
You know,
Which
Bill,
one?
whenever I'm watching that night, if its name gets called, I'm texting you right then and say you were right all along.
Which one?
Sinners.
Sinners. He thinks it's going to be the win the Oscar.
Great response.
You liked it, Bill?
Oh yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very interesting.
Here's a little interesting Harriet Tubman, you know, where the plan is to take Jackson off of the $20 bill, and it was supposed to happen in 2020. They're now saying 2030. But then Mr. Trump wants the Washington
Oh geez.
Commanders to be renamed back to the Redskins too. So
Yeah, it's also saying
And
that
the
about
Indians.
Indians, yeah.
and the
Yeah,
Indians from the Guardians. Yeah.
Wow.
They changed the name of my high school. We were the Warriors. Now it's like Timberwolves or something like that.
And my kids' school down here are the Chiefs. So, and of course, Kansas City's another one that is getting a lot of pushback on their name.
I think just changing it to the Chefs is the best way to go.
Yeah, that'll work.
I think there was a time in the 1980s when that everybody called them
Yeah.
because they were so bad.
Has anybody got
And they-
anything? I smell dinner in the next room. Has
And
anybody?
they still sold out, Mahoney.
Yeah.
No, not really, man. I remember a game. I didn't go to it, but I remember one game in the late 80s where I think the paid attendance was under 10,000 out there
man.
because it was a big deal.
Oh, so that's at Municipal.
No, that was at Arrowhead.
Oh, at Arrowhead. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I went to a game where they opened up the gates and let you go in for free. They
Really?
it was John Elway's rookie season, and it was like 20 degrees below zero. And I think we had like a foot of snow, maybe more. And they just, if you made it to the stadium, you were
And
in.
nobody wanted to go?
We had season tickets. I didn't, but my brother did.
Uh,
In the 40 years I have lived here, I think I've been to 3 Chiefs games.
really?
Mike's
Yeah.
not a big Chiefs fan.
Okay.
He likes
Not-
those
yeah.
Royals, though.
Yeah, not at all a Chiefs fan. I had terrible dealings with them as an organization when I was a reporter. Whenever there were unpleasant stories, the sports department wouldn't do them, and they would stick me on them. And I just didn't have really good dealings with them.
That's kind of weird, isn't it? Especially when you consider Lenny was the head of the sports department.
Oh no, well no, think about it. They
That's probably why they didn't want him there.
exactly.
Okay.
Whose pick is it next
Crossing.
time?
Well, thanks for watching the movie. It was, I wanted to reflect on it. So
Yeah.
So we say it's Whitaker's turn.
I think
Well, I
it
hope-
is. I
I hope
mean,
not.
I think you owe us about 6, and then
Well, if it's my turn, I'm going to defer to John Twitty because he's got a list of 21 movies he wants us to watch. He's so excited about being part of this movie club. He's got like for the next 3 years, he's got movies lined up.
I'm looking at it, Wicker. It's a pretty good list.
well, Jeff Copeland would be, I think, the next one on the
well, that'd be right. That's right.
in the
Yeah.
order. But
Okay.
however it works is fine with me.
But we
Can you
can't
guys
hear
hear
Jeff
me?
Copeland.
I can hear you now.
Okay, I turned the Bluetooth off entirely.
Oh,
How
good.
about we watch Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Okay.
It's a Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor movie, and they said it was the best movie they made together. And it's a kind of an intense story. So that will be my selection.
Yeah, good pick.
I love it. I've never seen it.
Me either.
I don't think I've ever watched it all the way through. So good pick.
Yeah, me neither.
It's an adaptation of a play, but they said that it was a very successful screen adaptation of a play. So I haven't seen it myself, but I read a lot about it, and it sounded like there was merit to it. So
First time I ever became aware of that movie is when they did a parody of it in Mad Magazine when it came out.
So you don't need to watch it.
You know what you know from Alfred E. Newman.
you read the cliff notes. Yeah.
And that's never changed
When
since.
did it come out, though? It came out when we were teenagers, even. I don't know.
Yeah.
In the 60s, mid 60s, I
Yeah,
think.
65, 67.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
did check to make sure it was available on Prime at least, if not other places. So
1966.
That beats my pick of The Hangover. So
I think it's the same plot.
did they do another one and go to Thailand? Is it? That sounds good. Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been
Yeah.
going to the theater a lot. I've seen F1,
Yeah, I saw it.
Superman, Jurassic Park, and Sinners. And I would not recommend Superman, Sinners, or F1, but I thought Jurassic Park was worth it.
really,
What's F1?
It's
Formula
a race
One.
car
Brad
movie.
Pitt
And
racing
believe it or
movie.
not, at the end, the good guys win. They go in circles for 3 hours, and then at the end, they win. I could save you $12.
Thanks. I got it.
I tell you that F1, if there's something I like about it, they go to all of these racing venues all over the world. Like they'll be in Dubai, they'll be in Japan, they'll be in Las Vegas. So they hit like 10 of them, don't they?
Yeah, but you don't see those places. All you see is the track.
We kind of see a flyover. They'll do a little flyover,
Yeah. I did admire the car photography in that. The racing photography I thought was pretty clear.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, but otherwise, I agree. It's kind of thin.
Yeah.
Didn't they just have an F1 road race, street race in Chicago, like a couple of weeks ago, I think?
Maybe.
In Chicago, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that when you go to Las Vegas, it's
Yeah.
kind of, you see it's kind of marked for when they have the Grand Prix, you're aware of it, the kind of the route somehow, maybe their street signs or something like that. We were out there last year and it's like, they do a Grand Prix here now, pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's right down Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah.
It's slightly better than Sinners. I'll give it that.
Just that much.
So Gary, what is your leading movie for the year? I mean,
I don't think I've seen a movie that I thought was, when everybody shared the best 25 movies of the 21st century, both the New York Times critics and the New York Times readers, a movie that I'd never heard of called In the Mood for Love. I went back and watched. Has anybody seen that one? Or even heard of it? It was in the top 10 of both the readers poll and the critics poll. And I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying I didn't even know it existed.
That would make a great
But you
song
did
title.
see it?
I did see it.
And
Well, it's better than Sinners. I can tell you that.
That's become the new bar, like the big year.
yeah,
Well, if they took the vampires out of Sinners, I don't know. But
well, they
the
didn't
best-
take the vampires out.
the the best thing I've seen, movie, TV, anything, is The Studio, which I ended up with like 23 Emmy nominations. If you haven't watched The Studio, even if you watch only the last 15 minutes of the last episode, it's worth it.
Hmm.
And it's a series about the movie business and all the dark things that happen, but it's funny as hell. Ron Howard makes a guest appearance. Martin Scorsese makes a guest appearance. There are all these stars that make guest appearances, but it's a guy who's trying to run a movie studio, and the things that he does to try to get notoriety and an Oscar or a thank you at an Oscar. It's the best thing I've seen on TV in a long time. And then Joan and I are trying to catch up on our cultural relevance. We're watching The Sopranos. We missed the entire Sopranos phenomenon, but we're catching up.
you missed the Sopranos entirely? Wow.
Totally. Yeah.
Me too. I had never saw it.
Yeah, I haven't either.
It's
Only
quite good.
because
You'll
only
enjoy it.
because we want to be like Joan and Gary. We're thinking about getting that in our queue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sort of like when people say, have Game of Thrones. Sorry.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. Yes. But we missed Sopranos, so we're on the trail to catch up.
Well, that's why we like movies, because we don't have time for series. I mean, it
I'm
takes
doing
forever.
like I said, I've been to F1, I've been to Superman, I've been to Sinners, I've been to Jurassic Park. I'm doing all I can to support the movie industry.
But I really only heard one recommendation. And that
Well, I
was,
like the
I'm in the
Jurassic-
studio, you said Jurassic Park, though.
I like the Jurassic Park movie. Of all the blockbusters that are out, I'm not really a DC Comics blockbuster sequel making fan.
Sure. I mean, that is the tough thing about watching Superman and stuff like that. It's like there's so much of it.
Well, Superman is so much fake CG, and F1. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a good guy that's going to win the race at the end. But do I have to sit here for 3 hours to watch that? Man, there was some good photography in it, Jeff. You're right.
I saw one
But
last
there
night.
was no arc. Not a,
Just
I
they're
saw
all
except the
circles.
whole
an
track
ovals.
is a giant arc.
Well, lots of left turns.
It's an actual arc.
I saw one last night that if I don't think it's going to make your list either, but it was called Friendship. Has anybody heard of that one? It's got Tim Robinson. Does anybody know who Tim Robinson is? He's a comedian. He was like a writer for Saturday Night Live. He's pretty bizarre. You know, he's kind of out there. All the stories are, but it's a movie with him and Paul Rudd. Him and Paul Rudd are friends, and they have this strange relationship. It's I mean, I wouldn't really call it great or anything like that, but if you're a fan of Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson, you might like it. Tim Robinson has a series on TV called The Detroiter, I think it is. It's a comedy series, but it's just strange sort of stuff that wouldn't even make Saturday Night Live. Anyway, I don't think you guys will want to waste your time.
Talked yourself out of that one.
Yeah.
I do have a recommendation. It's not a movie, but it's a Netflix special called Magic Lover. Has anybody seen Magic Lover? I will mail you all $10 and you can keep it. And if you don't go, you're right, I'll send you your $10 back. I'll send you all $10 to bribe you to watch it. And at the end of it, if you don't go, holy shit, that was worth the hour of my life. Magic Lover. I think his name is
Justin Wellman.
Justin Wellman.
Good guess, John.
I know.
It's a series.
No, it's not a series. It's about 50 minutes out of your life and it'll blow your mind. My dinner's ready. I gotta go.
All right, me
All
too.
right.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? See you next week.
See you in August.
All right,
weeks.
guys.
2
Hey,
weeks.
guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.